Well, this is our umpteenth episode of our podcast. I stopped counting. I thought I was counting and then I stopped counting.
Yeah.
And it is what it is today. It's Dondre, Ty, and our big baby.
Our big baby.
Yes, today we are covering work-life balance. And that is so hard to do, especially like when you both work, even if only one person works, to get off of work and to make sure that you have enough time and energy to give to the people that love you the most. Like, that's a big deal. So right now, Dondre, you go to work. I am at home. I left my job, so I always have energy when you come home. But how has it been since the dynamic has changed?
I would say it kind of just felt the same. I mean, because you were getting off at 12 o'clock anyway.
Oh, you're right.
So when I would get home, you would just, rather than working those 8 hours from 3 a.m. or whatever to noon, like, you didn't have that same schedule anymore, but you had a lot more time for yourself and stuff. And we'll talk a little bit more about that too, for how it was for you, but with that transition. But I don't know, for me, it always just felt like I came home and I would see my little firecracker of a wife, and she'd be all happy to see me, like, Bubby, what's up? What are you doing? How was your day? And like, you know, I'll say bombard me with questions, but not in a bad way. Like, just, my friend's here. I want to see you. I want to talk to you. I want to hear from you. And that always would, like, that's the environment we want to come home to.
Yeah.
But no, I loved it. I love just, you know, seeing my partner come home.
I like that too. And I think that goes into making time after work to be mentally present and not just physically present as well. Because I know that after we get home, sometimes it's a long shift, and sometimes the days, and I had this bad when I was working in news, like there would be a lot of things sometimes that I would take home, and sometimes that I would still be dwelling on, or something would piss me off at work.
Yeah.
And then I would bring it home, and like I would still be pissed when Dondre got there.
Be cutting carrots all aggressively. And I'll be like, hey, what's wrong with you?
Yes, and he's like, well, hello. And I'm like, hey, and I'm just in my own zone. So it did take us a minute to be able to say, look, we are going to leave work at work. Take some time in between, either when you come into the house or after you come into the house, if you just need a minute or if you need to take a walk. That way you can calm down and then be mentally present here with your partner. I had a terrible time with that. And then I know that you did too, because at the beginning of our relationship, you started a new position. So there was a lot that you were learning and trying to take in.
Stuff like a lot of information, and, you know, I would just, and at the time we were downtown, so like I had to drive from a suburban area, across the freeway, downtown. And so then when you finally are able to stop your brain, because you're not like just trying to pass time in traffic, and then you find yourself sitting in the car for an extra 30, 45 minutes, just trying to come down before coming in. And even now, like I'll sit in the garage for like 10 or 15 minutes just to like take in not driving again, and just like, all right, I'm home, wifey's in there, I don't want to take in anything or any stresses from work and take that into the house. But, you know, I'm not perfect, so sometimes I'll be like, man, that such and such really ticked me off today.
Yeah.
Soon as I come in the house, and she's like, how are you? How was your day?
Hello.
What are some good things? And like, it just kind of picks up from there.
I think everybody should have that time after work before coming in to do that. And I know so many people, whether it's sitting in the garage or sitting in the parking lot or just having a moment to be able to breathe, you got to have that decompression, because you can't just flow into from one thing into another. Like, you have to stop and take some time. And I also encourage Dondre, like, whenever he needs the time, you get home and you decide, you know what, I need a little bit more time. Like, take your time, because I definitely need that. Like, on hard days, I need time to go to the gym and work out, and I need time to just relax my mind and reload so that I have more to give to you than just the worst of my day.
Yeah, and that's the point of this episode, is like how to kind of manage that.
We had to talk about, into our next point, like making sure that we not only take time for ourselves, but also know that that job is only paying you for 8 hours a day, or if you work 12 hours a day, it's not paying you to take that work home.
Ain't no homework.
So when you're taking that home and when you are stressing about it and your loved ones don't get the best of you either, that can cause contention. So we definitely would say one of the things is make sure that you take time to mentally cut off before coming home. And two, just kind of like you said, make sure that you have or plan out your week. So like for me, I would cook once a week, and I know on that day I may not have as much capacity, but throughout the rest of the week I will, because I'm not coming home.
Or a grocery store day.
Yes.
Some days you'd be like, Andre, give me a minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you plan for that, then you can get it all done on one day and still have the rest of the week to give your partner that time. And then the true quality time, not just, hey, I'm here on the couch, you know?
And for my wife, with her being an on-air personality, like her work day is basically kind of structured for her, with these parts in between where she's off air and she's writing news stories and things like that. For me, working in a corporate setting as well, where I'm more so in control of my day-to-day tasks, day-to-day schedule, I found that in order to improve my work-life balance, like you said, you had your tools. For me, I had to become a calendar machine, like to really figure out, okay, how do I set up my schedule so that if I'm working 40 hours a week, that is all that I am giving my employment. That's how I came across time blocking across all of my calendars and syncing my Google Calendar to my Apple Calendar, so that information looks different when I receive it on my Apple Watch or my phone or my MacBook. Like, I know exactly what I'm gonna be doing for the first 4 hours of my shift, to the lunch, to the second half of my shift, and how that will change.
Also, like you said, the structure, because you have to plan out moments. And that is one of the things that we had too, making sure that you are planning in family time, alone time, and time that you spend with your spouse specifically, especially if you got kids. Like, because if you don't plan those things into your day and prioritize putting them on a calendar and blocking them, then they will get lost in the everyday. And you will go throughout your list and say, okay, well, I've completed everything that I have. And then your family will get left behind, or your spouse will get left behind, and you'll look up and be like, dang, well, we haven't done a date night in months and stuff like that.
But you can recall I told you about my big project, and I told you about that story I was running, and like, it's just all blending together, and before you know it, a month has passed, and all you've done is made sure the baby made it to childcare or school, made sure y'all made it to bed on time and together, but there's no intimacy. And we've talked about the different forms of intimacy. Like, there's no communication going on. We're just kind of getting into the machine. Reality is, not everyone gets to do something that they truly love, that pays the bills, but you can still maximize on that time outside of when you're paying the bills. By not letting yourself get over-consumed with go to work, pay the bills, go to work, pay the bills. Like, you gotta leave room for God, as you say. What do you feel was something that helped you kind of navigate going from having such a tight schedule in news to being, a stay-at-home temporarily and working with our business? I feel like something that helped was having a routine. Like, a routine is so important, and whether you are the most organized person like my husband, or whether you're working on it like me, like, having a routine makes you be able to check off and say, okay, I'm doing things that better me every day, whether it be loving on myself, my family, going for a walk, reading a book. Like, there's something every day I can do. It gives you a sense of purpose. And so before I should say, left my job, the day was already planned for me, and I could live in this tight, structured plan, and I loved it. Well, when I left my job, that was a little bit harder, because, the first week you're like, oh my God, thank God. Like, I don't have to go with a schedule. I don't have to worry about people. And so the first week, I say 2 weeks, you're chilling. And then after that 2 weeks, you're like, I need something. Like, your hand starts itching and you're like, I need to do something. Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily something to do, it was just structure to my day. So whether that is waking up in the morning, making the bed, taking my shower, getting my coffee, reading my devotional. Those are 3 things I can already say, you know what, I feel accomplished today. Next, going outside, taking my walk, coming back, getting on my computer to, look at things to further my career. That's also 2 more tasks, 3 more tasks that you can do. So it wasn't that I didn't have enough stuff in the day, I just was not putting structure to my day.
If you got to it, you got to it.
Correct.
If you didn't, you didn't.
Yes.
If you slept till 10 or 11, you slept till 10 or 11.
Right.
And I saw how that was affecting you, especially when I would come home and you'd be like, it's 4, it's 5 o'clock already?
Yeah.
Like, she didn't know in those moments what expectations I had.
Right.
I didn't know what she had. And so it just left room for a lot of gray area. And, I would see how sad she would be. And I'd be like, honey, we're good. Like, everything's all good. Like, let's go for a walk. Let's do this. And that's when it hit me of, she just needs structure to her day.
It's structure.
Like,
That's
when
it.
she calls me at work, what you doing? What you doing? Like, she knows, like, I have a to-do list and I'm task-oriented.
Yeah.
So, like, why not offer that same advice to my wife, like, and uplift my wife, not, well, there's plenty of stuff to do and you could be doing this. And
Right.
I go to giving recommendations for what she could be doing rather than asking her what she needs in that moment. I'm very proud of that. I thank you for sharing that. Another aspect of that maintaining work-life balance in marriage and everything like that is getting that schedule aligned.
Yes.
Like, we're staring right now at our whiteboard that is a calendar. I wanted to put it in the office. My wife was like, no, put that in the bedroom. I need to see that every day. I'm more of a digital person, so I got the widgets on the watch, the widgets on the phones, different modes that cut on by geolocations. But my wife needs something physical, and I'm like,
yes, because
I gotta write stuff on paper, or I gotta write on a board. I want to do that.
Connecting, like always having to be connected and seeing digital, like to me that gives me anxiety.
Yes.
So when I cut off, or when I'm going throughout my day, I can't be connected 24 hours a day.
All of the crazy stuff is in that journal.
Yes.
Like, that's where the planning takes place, where she can physically feel pen to paper. I'm playing with it.
And it's okay because, it's good that we have different modes that work for us. And I'm not trying to force you to do it how I need it. And you're not trying to force me to do it how you need it.
We're meeting in the middle.
We have to meet in the middle. And when you align those schedules and align those calendars, that way you can put your stuff on there and I can manage my expectations. I know that if he has 3 meetings after 12 p.m. and his day doesn't end until 5, like, he's not gonna have the same energy when he gets home, when normally he gets home at 4.
And she not looking at the clock at 3:30 like, hey,
family time.
you're packing up. It's never like a, where your ass at? Like, it's
Right.
hey, hon, you doing all right? How's
Right.
work? You're busy.
When we do that and we align our schedules, I know what you're thinking, you know what I'm thinking and what I expect. And then it can allow, and the biggest thing I feel like we have had to, or not we have necessarily had to, but the biggest thing that has helped us is making sure we have a time set when you come home. That is a time set when, unless there's anything crazy happening, I know you're gonna walk through that door. Now with me, I know that it was pretty easy because I was already at home. Again, I got off at 12 noon, so I was already home anyway.
And I don't know if it's a traditional thing or what, but it's something about when you get off having your spouse there. So like I'll be like, oh man, the house is alone. Like, it's quiet in here and stuff. And like, I miss her presence. And after being around so many different people all day and talking to different people, like, that's the first person I want to engage with. So it's not always, a phone call at 3:30, 4 o'clock. Sometimes it's just a text so that when I hear that voice and that warmth, like, I can really take it in.
I agree. Or if I know that he is going to be home at a certain time, and I know for some of you all, you work jobs where every day isn't consistent, but 2 days out of the week or 3 days out of the week, I can expect you home at a certain time. That allows me to be able to welcome you, to look forward to something, for us to do those scheduled family things together, and for me to just have an expectation.
Yeah.
That's how you balance it.
If you work those type of jobs that, may not allow you to dictate your schedule
Right.
or streamline your schedule for you. Just speak to your supervisors, things like that about, hey, you know, whether it's your kids' daycare schedule or
Right.
something like that. Like, again, you can still maintain that privacy, but set that boundary that, you know, hey, there's a certain time that you work, and I know that you are always here on the same hourly schedule. Hey, what can I do to get to that?
Right.
Because this crazy schedule makes it hard for childcare. This crazy schedule makes it hard for my mental well-being. So
yes, and to be there for my family. And you set that boundary, like when Dondre first started working, he went to his boss and told him, like, hey, this is my priority. Don't get me wrong. Glad to have this job. Loves it. It pays the bills. However, at the end of the day,
trust that what I do in the time that from when I get here to when I leave, that everything's going to be taken care of. And I think navigating that from coming from being a teacher and being on somebody's schedule to being on my own schedule, it's a process to it. But the same way I set those boundaries with my soup, I got to set those boundaries with my soup, myself.
Exactly.
Like who's actually in charge of me is me. Like, I have to make sure that I know, hey man, you see that clock ticking. The easy thing to do is to keep working. The hard thing to do is to stop. Shut that laptop, pull out my physical journal that my wife has shown me, jot down some notes about where I finished, and then now I'm walking out the door at 4 and I'm home on time.
And that is something that I'm glad that you do, because it allows you to reload better. Like, yes, you can reload by yourself and take just that 30 minutes in the car, but when I know you're coming home, I know you set that boundary, I know that I have an expectation you're gonna be here. How much more is the reload when you can walk in the house, there's a meal, we can spend time with each other, we have time to cuddle up. Yes, and then all of a sudden now you don't have the weight of the day, you've gotten loved on, and you're ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's a lot more, and you have a lot more battery when you do it that way.
And guys, you'll have sex more, so there's that.
You definitely will.
Because you're not coming home tense feeling like you gotta clock in again.
Right.
So, hey, I'm just being real with you. That's something that if you are curious, or, well, she knows I'm stressed and I work hard and I deserve, you know,
XYZ.
ABC.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to be that way. Vice versa with him. Like, well, he knows he's expecting me to come home and cook dinner, and we got to do this. Communicate.
I cook, you clean up the dishes. That way, one person isn't spending 2 hours up. It's two people that spend 30 minutes, and now you have all of this extra time to do fun married stuff.
Dad, you go, or mom, you go shower while dad cooks, and then you bust the suds while he takes a shower. Now y'all get in the bed together at the same time, and your house is clean. It's not as easy, we know, as just saying it, but guys, practice these things. The same way we bounce this information off each other, that's how we are. Like, hey, what if we did this? You think that'll work? Or, you know what? Hey, I see this on your calendar, on our joint calendar. I think we gotta cut this. I don't have the capacity, and you sound tired yourself. Let's make sure we just not giving other people an expectation of our time. Yeah, y'all see that? That time flew by real quick, huh?
Yes.
We have discussed a lot of topics that we weren't given necessarily a blueprint for. And this is all information that we have really spent time trying.
Like actually doing. Like, we're not giving you something like, oh, this would be nice. No, like, this is an actual thing that we do to make sure that we have time to still be married and to cultivate a healthy marriage.
A healthy marriage. I always feel like it's important to say this. This is not the
Bible.
Stuff. This is not the Bible. You don't have to follow anything we say. There's a lot of poison being sent out into the world over what marriage looks like. There's so much of this stuff constantly thrown at you through multiple platforms. We're going to use our platform to show you something different, to tell you a completely different story that is
real.
That's real. And we can't wait. You know, this first season, we want you guys to get to know us and kind of some of these real life accounts that we have. But like, we can't wait to start bringing some of these same couples that we've shared stories about to really talk about the true meat and potatoes that is marriage. Like you get a little bit of everything in it. Again, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time.